Hey guys, how we doing? Welcome to episode 2 of Football Talk with Hawk. Today we got basically another layout kind of along the similar lines of episode 1 as we continue going through each individual division. Absolutely excited about that today. But today we're going to open up the coin flip here today with talking about the USFL. My guess is, actually, probably not my guess, probably will be talking about the XFL in the next episode, but I want to go over the USFL. First of all, kudos to them. Number one, they completed a whole season. Number two, their players all got paid. And number three, they had views and an audience for every single game. They knew what they had to do. They knew it was going to be difficult. They understood the hurdles. And honestly, they knocked it out of the park. The constant complaint that I continually hear is really not a complaint that I can respect, because everybody says, no good quarterback play, no good league. Shut up. Come on. Listen, these guys are playing. They're professional players. Bo Scarborough, the longtime, the 4-year running back from Alabama, played on the Birmingham Stallions, which ended up winning the title over the Philadelphia Stars. And let's give credit where credit's due. The teams, the logos, the uniforms, like their work was put into it, thought was put into it to be able to make it attractive to the football fan. Spring football is needed. Basketball, I'm sorry, it's dull. It's as boring as get out. There's nothing. Basketball is just flat out dull. Baseball, I can't sit through a 9-inning game anymore. I used to be able to make it through roughly 7 innings, but then the 7th inning stretch came around, and if the game was close, you stuck around to the 9th because you're wondering what's going to happen. If it's a blowout, you shut it off. Let's just be honest here. So I need spring football. Football is the biggest money-making industry in the U.S. when it comes to a sport. Yes, movies do good. This is one that is constantly changing. A constantly changing business that captivates hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. And it needs to be there. And this is going to give the opportunity for more players to be able to play, more players to be able to continue to make money. I don't want to hear about it. It's not the millions of dollars they make in the NFL. So what? If you love to play the game and you're lucky enough and blessed enough to be able to play in spring ball and make money playing football, of which you love, do it. Don't complain about it. Go do it. For the love of the game, go play football. And I do love the fact that the USFL beat majority of all the hurdles and came out on top. Congratulations to the Birmingham Stallions, and great opening season. Great inaugural season. Very, very well done to the USFL. Now, this is going to get interesting. I live in Indianapolis. We're going to talk about the AFC North. I am not surrounded by any of these, but this is a dangerous division to talk about. Dangerous division to talk about. We're going to open up with the Browns. Lots of controversy around them. I think they're going to end up 4th. If Deshaun Watson has a 6-game suspension, if he goes up to 8, whatever it ends up being, we don't know. I said in the last video, let's just pretend it'll be 6. So let's just say it'll be 6. Their schedule isn't easy. I think they come out of a 6-game stretch without Watson at 2-4. I think Watson goes 500 through the rest of the year at best, if not below. So you're automatically looking at a 7-win or 6-win team. I think they've got the pieces. They absolutely have the pieces. They have one of the best offensive lines. The defense is stout. They got 2 amazing running backs. You got Amari Cooper now out there. It's just I don't know. I love the coach. Stefanski is a solid coach. He's done a great job. He won a playoff game. Let's just leave it there. I mean, really, let's just leave it there. Kudos to him. The Browns head coach to be able to do that. It's pretty impressive. So I think the Browns are too talented to really just drop the ball. But between having to start the backup, and Brissett could easily go 500 or even 4-2. But I think the competition's way too stacked in the AFC right now. You're not gonna get an easy week in the AFC. Your NFC games are probably going to be easier than your AFC games, and the division is going to be beating up on each other constantly. Offensively, they can't match up with the Bengals. They can't match up with the Ravens. The Browns and Steelers games could be really entertaining, though. They could split the games with the Steelers or steal both of them. And that's possible, but just I don't see them being able to come around. I do love their roster, and I love their defense. I love what they do. They've built a really solid team. Unfortunately, they're stuck with bad quarterback play, and just the way it's worked out this offseason, too noisy, too many distractions. For the players that are on that team, I hope they have a great year for their sakes, because it's a lot easier to deal with all that noise if you do good, especially since they know they're better than their record. Even the year they went to the playoffs, they're better than their record indicates as far as the skill level. So that's going to be where I think the Browns will end up. Steelers could also end up being last. I don't know what their defense is going to be. Their defense is going to be tired. Their defense will be outright tired. Najee Harris is a beast at running back. They got receivers that are completely delusional of how good they are. They're not that good. Whether or not Chase Claypool grows up and understands that you give the football to the referee and that you do not matter at all as a receiver unless you help your team win, and it's not going to make much of a difference. Johnson has too many drop problems. His routes really are not that crisp, and you don't have Big Ben just launching the ball through the air. You really don't have huge arm quarterbacks like Big Ben sitting in the back anymore. The routes aren't going to be able to be run quite as deep. Trubisky is a serviceable quarterback. Mason Rudolph, I don't know why the heck he's still on the roster. Kenny Pickett, I like him. I like him. I don't know how he's going to be able to do in Pittsburgh, but if there's a place that could build around a quarterback that has certain limitations, it would be Pittsburgh, 100%. But I think the defense is going to get too tired. The defense is going to be amazing early on, but I think come October, November, late October, November, and definitely December, this team could end up just losing 6 or 7 straight late because their defense is so dang tired from having to carry the football team. And if there's injuries, TJ Watt goes down, Miles Jack, you're talking trouble if there's injuries that hit this team on the defensive side of the ball. Ravens. Nobody knows what to think of the Ravens. There's been noise, but it hasn't been from the Ravens. If we're really honest, the noise hasn't been from the Ravens. The noise has been everybody outside the Ravens talking and not shutting up. See, that's what the media is paid to do, is to not shut up about an issue that they have no business being worried about. In other words, somebody's money. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have an amazing relationship. And kudos to Lamar Jackson, how he's handled this. I know there's people that go on both sides of it saying he should get an agent, shouldn't get an agent. Listen, that's a man taking care of himself. He knows what he wants. He will get it when he wants to get it. The Ravens are not going to hold out on him. He's their quarterback. They have a solid backup. Ty Huntley came in last year, and I loved him in Utah. But we all know college and the pros is a little bit different. He did very good keeping the Ravens respectable. And you could not just run over Baltimore. Great job. Great job by Baltimore. John Harbaugh is absolutely fantastic. A fantastic coach. They were riddled by, I think they had 95 total players last year that they ran through the roster because of all the injuries. Unheard of. Just unheard of. The injury bug was just harsh. I don't see that happening again. If it happens back-to-back years, fire the entire training staff. Get new chefs in the building. I don't know. Do something. But they gotta bounce back. Gotta bounce back. Conventional wisdom says if they bounce back, they're going to get first in the division. I could see that happening. I got them second because I think the Cincinnati Bengals are just a little bit better right now. They got a little bit more momentum. Last year they were doubted. So last year they were doubted and they made it to the Super Bowl with an offensive line that I'm not really sure they could have blocked a mosquito. It was bad. This year they got 3 new offensive linemen. The team looks really good. The receiving weapons for Joe Burrow are amazing. I don't know if there's a deeper set of skill position players on a team than Cincinnati. Absolutely amazing. The speed, the hands. Cincinnati is primed to be able to make another deep run and continue to battle with Buffalo, Kansas City, and the new team, obviously, this year. The one that a lot of people are looking at is Denver. Cincinnati's primed to do so. Their defense is solid enough. And their offense is amazing, and they got one heck of a clutch kicker. So my guess is going to be Cincinnati-Baltimore. It's going to be a dogfight for who gets first. Probably only 10-11 wins because it's going to be a smash mouth, drag them out fight through the AFC North. But I think the Bengals go with the 11 probably. Ravens go the 10. Steelers and Browns, the bottom 2, really won't be a part of the conversation whatsoever for the division. By the end of September, it's going to be, all right, are the Bengals or the Ravens going to win this division? Or I should say middle of the way through October since the season starts so much later. But you're going to be looking 6 weeks in, it's going to be, all right, Browns and Steelers are out, Bengals and Ravens are fighting for the top spot. So that's going to be kind of where I'm guessing everything is going to lie with the AFC North. Really strong organizations. I can't believe I'm saying that about the Bengals now, but they're getting an indoor practice facility. The owner's spending money on them. Success breeds a little bit of confidence. And how come all the years Marvin Lewis took them to the playoffs with, the teams that he had? I know they were called the Thugnals back then because, they had a bunch of players that were in a lot of trouble off the field. But still, you make the playoffs as many times as, he did. Playoffs is success. And this year in the AFC, making the playoffs is going to be really difficult. Really difficult. There are going to be good teams that would potentially win some of the divisions in the NFC if they were over there that won't make the playoffs in the AFC. The AFC is going to be tough, stacked, tight. It's going to be awesome football this year in the AFC, and I am so looking forward to it. Well, that's what I got. I got the Bengals, Ravens, and the Browns and Steelers. Both of them may get 5-6 wins, honestly, is what I think we're going to be looking at by the end of the year. Just because of how the rosters and the way that the landscape is and the team situations are. That's what I got for the AFC North. NFC North. The Vikings. Guys, I love them. I absolutely love them. I am on the Viking train of being able to be the most improved team from last year. Offensive coach, big help. Mike Zimmer was very old school. You could tell in the game that they almost threw to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He didn't belong in the coaching slot anymore. He didn't understand how fast the game could change any longer. He was still thinking it would take 6-minute drives to be able to get a touchdown. He wasn't fast enough anymore. Great defensive coach. Great. If he got a defensive coordinator job, hands down, I give it to him. He'd be one of the top 5, top 10 in the league. Absolutely. But he lost the ability to coach the position and the time and the game the way the game is now. Now you get a Sean McVay protege. And I love it. Love it. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have an amazing year. I think Dalvin Cook is going to be a fantasy underrated. Even if he's drafted 3rd in the drafts, I think he's going to be underrated. Jefferson, this team is going to be on fire. And if the defense can just be 90% of what it was last year, the Vikings are going to have an amazing season. They're going to win the division. The Packers are going to be crying, and all their fans, and it's going to be proof that Aaron Rodgers doesn't belong anywhere near the pinnacle or Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks that have ever played this game. It will be great. It will be great. Now, I will take out the elephant in the room. I love the Green Bay Packers organization. Always have. I cannot stand Aaron Rodgers. The quarterback position, to me, is one of the most professional positions there is in the league. Say it's unfair. Say whatever you want. You're the quarterback. You're the face. You have a responsibility. We expect CEOs and certain people in businesses in certain positions to have a certain outlook or presentation of themselves. Aaron Rodgers does not fit anything about how you want a quarterback to talk, act. You kind of feel like anytime anybody says they want to play with him, it's forced. And then last year, you watch the tape. Just watch the tape. You can't lie when you've got a guy that has as much experience as he does. You can't watch the tape and go, oh yeah, he just didn't see him. Are you kidding me? He doesn't trust anybody else. This is a team sport. Go ahead, win your MVPs. Win as many MVPs as you want to. You ain't good enough. You ain't good enough. Because you can't play as a team player. The Packers are going to struggle this year because their quarterback isn't a team quarterback. The stats may be okay. I think the team is solid. I think they'll probably make it into the wild card spot. They're not bad enough, especially the NFC. NFC is too weak. They'll probably make it in with the wild card spot. But 9-10 wins tops for this team. They won't beat any of the big teams on that side. They won't have a home game for the playoffs. It won't be in Lambeau, and they'll be out round 1. The Packers are in trouble. They should have just gotten rid of them. Start the rebuild, especially since the teams in the division are kind of in that same situation outside of Minnesota. Minnesota's in kind of a flux. They've been in the same position for a while, the same nucleus and core of players for a while. But the Lions are rebuilding. The Bears are rebuilding. Get rid of Rodgers. Just start rebuilding. Move forward. Get going while your division's weak. You don't want to do it while your division's strong. Because, if you want to stay respectable, that's how you do it. You do it when everybody else is there. And you can get second in the division by winning potentially only 6 games. And you're not looking too bad. So I think they should have just gotten rid of him, moved him off, and kept going. but they got another year. They'll win, 9 games, 10 games. They'll be above 500 because the NFC is just so bad, and they'll make the playoffs as a wild card team. But I think Minnesota rolls the entire division. Look out for Detroit. Detroit at home, especially. If you guys gamble and bet, of which I don't, I have fun picking the games. But if you were to gamble and bet, the Lions at home, I wouldn't bet against very often. I really wouldn't. I believe I have them, I think in my preliminary, I had them winning 7 games. Because when they're at home, Dan Campbell, I don't know if he's going to be a good coach or not. But if last year was any indication, he gets them fired up at home. On the road, you're probably going to roast him. Fair enough, it's a young team. But at home, he gets them fired up. They play hard. The Thanksgiving Day game last year against Chicago was a fight. And, it's just, they play so hard. They played the Ravens so hard. They got beat by a record-breaking field goal attempt. They play hard. They play fast. They play determined. They got emotion behind it. I like watching the Detroit Lions play. The organization, I don't know what the heck they're doing. They could have had a lot more success if they didn't fire Jim Caldwell. I don't know what they were thinking. If there was even a thought in that ownership group of, well, we need to be able to think about possibly playing in the Super Bowl while Jim Caldwell was getting you to the playoffs, and you got knocked out of the playoffs by a call that all of us know was wrong. Every NFL fan knows was wrong, and that's how you got knocked out of the playoffs. Listen, you make the playoffs as the Detroit Lions. You make the playoffs as the Cleveland Browns. You're happy to make the playoffs. Start there. Make the playoffs. A common thing that happens is people want to get to the top too fast. If you make the playoffs 5 years in a row, then you can say, let's go. But if you haven't made the playoffs in 20 years consistently, stop telling me you want to go win the Super Bowl. Just get to the dang playoffs. There's only 14 teams out of 32 that make it. Get to the playoffs. Be there. Have a shot. Get the upset. Do that first. And then build your team towards being able to play for the Super Bowl. That's how you build the team. And if Detroit does have a head coach in Dan Campbell, which Motor City Dan, I tell you, he could be. I don't know if he is or not. He's definitely motivational. I will give him that. Could be. They have had a couple good drafts. If they can be healthy, and if Dan Campbell is a good coach, if he is a good coach, Detroit has something cooking and could easily take the second place in that division from the Green Bay Packers here in the next couple of years. Definitely next year if Aaron Rodgers retires at the end of this year. Chicago. I don't like what they did. Chicago went really old school. They hired a defensive-minded head coach. I love Matt Eberflus. I loved what he did with the Indianapolis Colts defense. I loved what he did before he came here. I definitely liked the hiring when Frank Reich brought him in. He's a defensive coach on a team that has a second-year quarterback. Really young team. In a city that the team is trying to build a stadium outside of the city, and the city's trying to fight to keep them in the city. It's a murky situation. It's not good, and you need a coach that's going to be able to break through everything, and I don't really know if that's him. Very few coaches, if we really get down to it, as NFL fans, we can be surprised by coaches. But it happens very rarely. I would say probably 1 out of 10 that fans will say, no, he's going to be horrible, actually end up being a good hire. 1 out of 10. And I'm talking about the majority, not the ones that just like saying no for the fun of it. I'm talking about the majority of your true fans. So here in Indianapolis, I have been around for Joe Moore, or yeah, not Joe, Jim Mora, Tony Dungy, Jim Caldwell, Chuck Pagano, Frank Reich, and obviously Bruce Arians was in between there as well as intern for a little bit. Now, the common core between the coaches is how they present themselves. Frank Reich is a quarterback, presents himself very well, very professional. It's what the city is. He does a fantastic job with it. Very, 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 very few fans liked the Chuck Pagano hire. When it came down to it, the Chuck Pagano hire we didn't like. We didn't understand why we were bringing in a coach from the outside that was defensive minded, changed the scheme completely. We were a 4-3 team with both Tony Dungy, Jim Caldwell. Why it changed to a 3-4 scheme, switching everything around, it was a huge mistake. Matt Eberflus brings in a 4-3 defense, which is what the Bears have been running more 3-4 lately. Now they're going back to a 4-3. And the offense doesn't look, it really doesn't fit. They don't have receivers. So let me do this, because this kind of scared me. So this is these are their receivers right now. Darnell Mooney, great receiver, fast, solid hands. You don't have to worry about that. Byron Pringle, Velus Jones Jr., Taji Sharp, N'Keal Harry, who they just got from the Patriots, Daz Newsome. Their tight ends are Cole Kmet and Ryan Griffin. Now, Cole Kmet is a solid tight end. I would give him a B rating as a tight end. He's solid. Nothing's wrong. You can count. He's probably going to get 8 touchdowns, 650 to 750 yards receiving in a season. Be a reliable outlet. You know, the 55 to 65 catch range. Cole Kmet's a fantastic, solid tight end. But where's the weapons he's going to use? Even look at the running backs. David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert. Herbert's solid. Justin Fields is going to have to run, though. Like everything you look at here creates a scrambling opportunity. The line is really weak. Really doesn't look that good, honestly, when you're looking at it. The back end is solid. The defense isn't going to be horrible, but the defense is going to be too tired. They're running a base 4-3. I don't see them really being a team that can fight. I think it's going to be another rough year. We're going to have another top 10 draft pick next year, and I hope they can keep building. I hope I'm wrong about Matt Eberflus. I don't like seeing teams struggle, especially iconic organizations. I don't want the Steelers to struggle, and I don't want the Bears to struggle. Two iconic organizations that the league is better when they're good. But you're going to have to make moves. The Steelers are going to have a down year. They're coming off. It's the first year without their long time quarterback. And that's okay. You can have a down year. Pittsburgh's going to be bounced back. Their defense is still going to be the steel curtain. Like that, it's still going to be Pittsburgh football. The Bears, they're going to have a good defense, but it's not going to be the 85 Bears. We're not talking about a defense that's going to run everybody over and shut them down. It's going to be a solid defense, but they're going to get too tired. That's really what it comes down to. They're just going to get too tired. So my guess this year is going to be Vikings, Packers. Vikings win the division by 2 games, probably 3 because the tiebreaker. But probably 12 wins. I think they're going to roll through this division. I think they could sweep all 6 games in this division. Really do. Packers sneak in with 10 wins, probably. Lions, I think they can get the 7, possibly 8 win mark. At home, I think they will be tough. I like how their coach gets them motivated and gets the effort out of them. And effort can play out on that football field. So hopefully, I hope they do well. I do like seeing the players that have played there do good, and I like seeing a good Thanksgiving game. I don't like missing the 12 o'clock game just because it's the Lions. So, and then the Bears, I don't see much hope for them this year. Sorry, Bears fans. All right, next segment. Let's get into the third quarter. So this is a different segment. Haven't brought this one out yet. Of course I haven't. This is only episode number 2. So I've got a couple things. Now, if you join my Discord server, down in the description, if you join that, you'll get all this Twitter news without having to create a Twitter account. I said that in the last video. I'll probably say that every video that I do because it is awesome. I do have a Twitter account that you can follow me, and that is also in the description. But some things people just, if they haven't joined the Discord server or whatever it may be, I want to share some of the interesting things that we get. Now, Dog, Penguin, and myself normally circulate these things between our group chat that we have with each other, and we talk about it ahead of time. So let's go ahead and make that disappear, bring that back up. The first one I want to go over. Check this out. This was posted on Twitter. So here's the question. You need a 40-yard field goal. 40-yard field goal. That's it. Mind you, that's it. We're getting big numbers nowadays. We're thinking way above this. This should probably be if you need a 50-yard field goal. But you need a 40-yard field goal to win the game. From this list, who do you choose to kick it? Now, I thought for a 40-yard field goal, there are quite a few I would choose off of this list. I loved David Akers. I love Olindo Mare. Martin Gramatica was a clutch 45 and closer kicker. John Casey wasn't bad. Ryan Longwell. I would take the majority of these. I can tell you who I won't take. I don't want Santos. Not a chance. Don't want Hollis. Don't want Dan Bailey. No. Don't want Garrett Hartley. No. But I'll take Hauschka. He kicked in Seattle. I'll take Ryan Lindell. He kicked in Buffalo. Jeff Reed kicked in Pittsburgh. Wasn't great necessarily, but he kicked in Pittsburgh. Joe Nedney, professional kicker. Some of his interviews I loved watching. They were hilarious. Jay Feely, maybe I wouldn't want him. He was kind of spotty. If this was a 50-yard field goal, so let's raise it. If this is a 50-yard field goal, who do you want? And I think the answer is probably going to be only between 2, possibly 3. Neil Rackers, Brandon McManus, and Ryan Longwell. Maybe Olindo Mare. He was more the 45 plus, just like David Akers was. A lot of these guys were 45 plus. You didn't take a lot of 50-yard field goals when a lot of these guys were playing. But if you need a 50-yard field goal to win the game, give me McManus, Rackers, or Ryan Longwell on the spot to be able to win the game. McManus, he's too young to be on that list. Really. Older guys, John Casey. I mean, I'm back when I first started playing Madden, I was drafting to be my kicker when I did the fantasy draft on Madden 2004, for goodness sakes. So absolutely loved this Twitter post. It was hilarious. Dog, as you guys know, is a Broncos fan, so his was McManus all day. And I remember in my fantasy league, I had Rackers the year that he first started playing Arizona in that dome. And he was bombing 50-yard field goals. They get 5 points every week, at least, one 50-yard field goal a week because the Cardinals weren't good. I loved having him on my team. So something fun. There's something fun from Twitter. Let's go to this one here. This is even better. Now, you may say this isn't football related. I disagree. This is very football related. Very, very dire set of circumstances. Which is the best? This is hard, guys. Oh my goodness. I had an easier time figuring out who's going to win the divisions than I have looking at this and trying to figure out which one's number one. This is hard. Now let me be clear. Whataburger I like, it's not number one. Burger King I actually can't stand anymore. The hamburgers always seem to be burnt here, so I don't like it at all. Shake Shack, never really had. Don't know where that's located. If any of you guys that are watching know what Shake Shack is, we have Steak and Shake. If that's what it is, okay. It's still not going to be there. Five Guys is good. Five Guys is there. Carl's, once again, because they're thick burgers, are always burnt for me. They're always burnt and never fully cooked. Double Quarter Pounder is... no. If I'm craving a hamburger, I'm going to go to one of these other places. Just saying. However, for me, and feel free to disagree in the comments, this could be the best conversation we have in the comments whatsoever over hamburgers. And honestly, it's perfectly okay. It should be the main topic of conversation. This is food. We need food. I love food. Especially a good burger. My number one, flat out, is Culver's. Give me a Culver's double butter burger any day of the week. Second, give me the Wendy's Dave's Double. And then Five Guys. I could probably switch Five Guys and Wendy's, but for me, Culver's takes it all the way. Culver's, just the double butter burgers, just the pickles, the ketchup, the mustard, the cheese. I may have to stop the video. I'm getting hungry. Good food. Good burger. Feel free to disagree in the comments. We can have a fantastic conversation about this. It is football related. We need to eat. Eat. Meat of champions. Hamburgers. There we go. All right. Anyway, so the next one. Choose your 2000s All-Star offense. Now, this is going to be a little bit more interesting. Now, for some may not be able to see everybody, I will run through the list for you guys here. And we'll run through this here pretty fast. So for the quarterbacks, you get one quarterback, one running back, two receivers, and a tight end. So one quarterback, one running back, two receivers, and a tight end. For your quarterbacks, you got Manning, Favre, Brady, Warner, and Brees. Those are the quarterbacks you have to choose from to be able to pick one. Your running backs, LaDainian Tomlinson, Edgerrin James, Marshall Faulk, Sean Alexander, Adrian Peterson. So let's just break this down here. We'll get those two done first. I'm in Indianapolis. I'm always going to pick Peyton Manning over Tom Brady. It doesn't really matter. I told you I can be partly be a fanatic. My entire, and this is going to make Patriot fans so mad, but it's partially what I live for. My entire view when it comes to the difference between the two is there would be no difference between the rings if you swapped them. If Manning was on the Patriots and had the Patriots defense as early as Brady did, Manning would have won the same amount of Super Bowls as Brady currently has. I believe you can interchange those two quarterbacks. And that's what makes them special. At the end of the day, I don't think one is really better than the other necessarily. Manning paved the way for Brady to be able to do what Brady did. Manning's the one that brought in the quarterback, being the coach on the field, being the one that took the reins and was responsible for what happened. That was what Peyton did and how he ran the offense, which is what Brady morphed into. I think you can interchange them. They are separately great quarterbacks and together are an amazing pair that have been leading the NFL for the last 24 years now. Those two quarterbacks paved the way for all the young guns that we now see. And it's because of them that those guys have their opportunity to be as risk-taking as they are out on the field, because those two guys said, we're going to control the offense, we're going to be responsible for it, and because I will not pick Tom Brady over Peyton Manning ever, I'm going to go Peyton Manning. Running backs. This one may shock you. LT, Edwin James, Marshall Faulk, Sean Alexander, Adrian Peterson. I loved LT. I loved watching LaDainian Tomlinson run. He was, I understand Lawrence Taylor is technically the main LT. He was a fun running back to watch. I enjoyed watching him play football. I enjoyed watching him move. He had a lot of Barry Sanders movements to what he did. Edge by himself was fantastic. Marshall Faulk was on both the Colts and the Rams. He ended up winning the Super Bowl with the greatest show on turf. Sean Alexander had the speed, but was a little bit bigger, and that's what kind of threw him off. Adrian Peterson, I think he was good. I think he benefited more from being 6'2", which obviously it's not a fault. It's just he benefited from being 6'2". I liked watching him run, but I swear sometimes he had a hole in the offensive line that was 65 feet wide sometimes. I swear that thing was huge watching some of those games. So in running backs, I would pick LaDainian Tomlinson. I just watching him play football. I loved watching him play football. All right, we got two receivers. Let's get these out here. We got Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Reggie Wayne, Isaac Bruce, Larry Fitzgerald, Torrey Holt, Marvin Harrison, Chad Johnson, Steve Smith Sr., and Hines Ward. For me, I'm sorry, I do not like T.O. I don't. And I understand Randy Moss has his own issues as well. The proclaims that have come out of T.O.'s mouth drive me absolutely nuts. Randy Moss at least respects the position and respects the guy that is the greatest receiver ever to play football enough to know I was good, but that guy was better. Randy Moss, I would take 100%. You would never stop the offense. I would actually take Fitzgerald. I think the separation, the route running, if we go one off of each line, so there's two separate lines as you see on the screen. Fitzgerald's on the same line as Randy Moss. If you had to do one from each line, it would be Randy Moss and Marvin Harrison. I would then get speed on both sides, but I'd have height on one side, I'd have shiftiness on the other, and I would never be stopped. And essentially, that would just make a nightmare. If I've got Peyton Manning, LaDainian Tomlinson, Randy Moss, and Marvin Harrison, good luck. Tight end, I'm sorry, this one was way too easy for me. Way too easy for me. Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, Jason Witten, Dallas Clark, Jeremy Shockey. I don't know why the heck Shockey's even there. He doesn't deserve to be on this list. Jason Witten, longtime Cowboy, respectable, great professional, love him. Dallas Clark, good hands. You played on the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning. But you're not at the tier 1 level as much as I hate saying that. He was not. He was just a great tight end for the Indianapolis Colts. Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez. Sorry, I got to go with the GOAT. Tony Gonzalez set the standard for tight ends. Longevity, consistency, professionalism. Tony Gonzalez is everything you want in a tight end. And if I've got Peyton Manning, LaDainian Tomlinson, Randy Moss, Marvin Harrison, and Tony Gonzalez, you probably won't beat me even if you score 100 points. Just saying. You probably won't beat me no matter what. So there is some things from Twitter. And let's close this out. This segment is the other sports segment. So what's going on in the rest of the world of sports? I have got 56 seconds to close this out, and that's exactly what we're going to do because honestly, not a heck of a lot. The NBA is in free agency season / trade season, and it is a mess. The people and the players now, the players are signing contracts and playing for a year and then going, yeah, I don't want to play here anymore. That's not how a contract works. That's not how a contract works. Love, perfectly fine with player mobility, perfectly fine with all that. That's not how a contract works. Start playing. Play for your money that you signed for. Stop trying to screw teams. They're not doing anything wrong to you. Play out. Play out to your contract, or at least play some of your contract, for goodness sakes. Major League Baseball is in the middle of the season. Just had the All-Star break. Now they can start playing baseball. I know we've got a couple of win streaks, the Orioles and the Mariners, that all of a sudden got really hot. Congratulations. Let's see what happens once we get into September and we get that final stretch of the season. Hopefully the Cubs can win, maybe 5 more games this year. Hopefully one can hope. For those of you who are soccer fans, I don't know anything about what's going on. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. We did have, that's right, the women's national team and the men's national team. That'll be in the next video. That one will be in the next video. Don't worry, I gotta troll my guys that keep thinking that football is called hand egg. It's no, your game is called soccer. My game is called football, and it is rough and tough and awesome to watch. All right, guys, that is going to be it for the video today. I appreciate you guys coming out, hanging out, and watching. If you are not subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a like on the video so that we can grow this channel. My Discord server is in the description. The link's down there. Join the Discord server. We got polls, trivia. Eventually, we'll have, not too far future, eventually we'll have some giveaways here. And big shout out to Icy from Funky Creations. Their Discord server is also down below, creating all these awesome thumbnails for me. I do have some editing of my own to be able to tweak them per video, but big shout out to him for the help that he has been. All right, guys, that is it. Until the next video, that's all we got for today. So, wings up, hawk out, take it easy, and we'll see you on the next one.